Hi everyone, and welcome back to another video on our talent series. As discussed towards the end of last video, today we're talking about biological factors in sport and how they shape performance, development and competition. But first of all, what are biological factors? When we talk about biological factors in sport, we mean the physical and physiological traits that influence performance and ability. The research has become increasingly popular as people question whether there are natural and innate factors that build world-class athletes. The list of options goes on, all of which affects how an athlete moves and performs. Do athletes have this world-class talent, or are they just built differently? Built to win? The question raised links back to if these biological traits provide that advantage needed to make it within the professional world of sports. First up, we have something called the birthplace effect, which is the observation that athletes from certain geographic regions or communities tend to be overrepresented at elite levels of sport. It suggests that where you grow up can affect your sporting pathway by shaping the characteristics of individuals. One of the most studied real-world examples of complex biological and environmental interaction is the dominance of Kenyan distance runners, especially those from the Rift Valley and among the Kalenjin ethnic groups. Multiple researchers have proposed several contributing factors. Larson in 2003 found that Kenyan runners often have a low body fat percentage, accompanied by long, slender legs, improving their running economy. Also, that many grow up at a high altitude, which can enhance oxygen delivery and utilization. Others have also suggested that running is a valued part of community culture, and children often accumulate large volumes of daily running from an early age, to school, chores, or to play. I also like to take into consideration that they are running for success. In an area of high poverty, they are limited to two options: running or academic success. As they have to get lots of sleep in preparation for training, there is no room for both. Can you be born too late to win? Let's talk about the relative age effect. This is a phenomenon seen in youth sport where children born in earlier selection year, say January to March, are more likely to be chosen for elite teams compared to those born later in the year, because they're often more physically mature within that age band. The main reason that this happens is because many youth sports use chronological age, grouping children by birth year instead of considering biological maturity. A child born in January may be nearly a full year older than a child born in December, and that age difference in childhood can mean noticeable differences in strength, coordination, and size. And this creates selection advantages early on. Early selection often leads to more coaching time, confidence, and competitive experience, which can compound into long-term success. In 2018, Cumming and others started to address uneven development from RAE and maturity differences, proposing biobanding, grouping athletes together based on biological age or maturation status rather than chronological age. But what's the difference? Well, chronological age is your age based on your birth date, whereas biological age is how physically mature you are, often measured through indicators like skeletal age. A strength and conditioning coach at Bath Rugby Union explained how having young athletes at the same chronological age but different biological ages can lead to performance bias. Rugby is a physical sport, so having someone at a biological age of 14 compared to someone 16 is going to paint one in a much brighter light. Biobanding can level the playing field in youth sport by matching athletes who are similar in maturity rather than simply in years lived. This means that early developers don't automatically dominate purely because they matured faster, and later developers can compete fairly and build confidence. But wait, here's an interesting twist. While the relative age effect can disadvantage younger children in the same cohort early on, research does show that some of those late-born athletes who do stay in sport can develop important psychological strengths. Because they have to work harder to keep up early on, they often develop resilience, adaptability, and self-motivation. So being born too late doesn't guarantee failure. In some cases, it fosters what's called an underdog effect, where overcoming early barriers builds important mental skills that support long-term success. It is also important to emphasize that biological advantages aren't necessarily enough on their own. A tall person with long legs might have a mechanical edge in running, but without proper training, technique, or mindset, they may never reach their potential. This brings us to the end of biological factors. It has been proven to us all that they play a crucial role when it comes to development in sport. Thank you for listening, and make sure to come back for part 3. We are going to continue to look further into the biopsychosocial model and evaluate psychological influences.